Hello, every pony. It's Fluttershy169 here, bringing to you My Only Sunshine by Ericray147. In this story, Derpy Hooves is a normal Pegasus living in a small house with her daughter Dinky and her roommate Carrot Top. One day, her life gets flipped upside down after she witnesses her daughter getting caught in a serious accident. Will she be able to save Dinky? This is a tragedy, sad, dark story. I haven't started reading it yet, but let's just jump right in and hope for the best. The sun began to set as a blonde-maned gray Pegasus walked into the room of her daughter, another blonde-maned pony, this time sprouting pale purple hair and a stout horn atop her head. The filly hopped up and down, trying to reach the side of her obviously too large bed. She always needed help getting in. She was just too short and too young to use magic yet. Her mother picked her up and set her on top of the bed near her also oversized pillow. The Pegasus lit a scented jar candle, the one that always sat on the filly's nightstand, for a source of light as the sun lowered too far in the horizon. She sat next to her daughter's bed, a warm smile on her face as she watched the little angel trying to settle down. The little filly struggled against the comforter with all her might, a look of frustration on her face as she began to lose her barbaric blanket battle for comfort. The unicorn eventually gave up and lay still on her back, obviously still uncomfortable.
"Are you done?"
Derpy Hooves asked with a slight chuckle.
"Yeah,"
Dinky Hooves said.
"but I really don't like these blankets. They're too heavy and I can barely move them on my own."
She tried to bench press the comforter straight up to further illustrate her point, managing to get it up only a couple inches off her. Her legs shook from the full weight of the blanket bore straight down on her.
"See?"
The wall-eyed pony chuckled again.
"You'll grow into them one day. Also, you'll be able to climb into your own bed without my help, too."
The two of them sat there, smiling quietly at each other while Celestia's greatest creation finally fully set behind the horizon. Not a single object in the room stirred, save for the tiny flame that spawned from the candle wick. It seemed like an eternity was spent between the two ponies, just idly sitting in and next to the bed. The Pegasus loved her filly dearly, as most mothers do. Nothing in the world could make her give up her daughter, not even the chance to live a more wealthy lifestyle. Her love for her daughter was too great for that. She knew her daughter loved her back. The bond between them could almost be tasted in the air. After the second eternity of absolute nothingness passed, one of them decided to break the silence.
"Mommy,
Yes?
can you sing me a song?"
Derpy stared into her eager daughter's eyes. She always sang to her at bedtime. It had grown to be a custom since before even Dinky could speak. Although the filly still asked her in case her mother forgot, which she truly never did.
"What song do you want to hear?"
She always asked, knowing exactly what her daughter's ears craved and needed to fall asleep. Dinky looked back at her mother and smiled. This was another custom. Her mother always asked what she wanted to hear, but she never answered. She knew that her mother would sing the exact same song she always did with no direct request. The Pegasus cleared her throat while Dinky anxiously waited and looked up from the comfort of the bed. Derpy closed her eyes and began to sing softly at first, but slowly gained intensity as her singing voice came back to her.
"You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away."
The gray pony opened her eyes and everything in the room was still for a couple more moments. Suddenly, a gentle snoring sound arose from her little filly. A smile once again formed on the lips of her mother as she wondered what her daughter would be dreaming of tonight.
"Good night, my little pony,"
said the mother before kissing her softly on the forehead right below the horn. The Pegasus walked over to the lit candle on the nightstand and covered it with a lid, effectively cutting off the airflow and snuffing it out. She savored the scent of air as it lingered for a couple of seconds, the smell of fresh blueberry muffins making her mouth water.
"Muffins,"
she thought, as the sweet taste of fresh baked blueberry confections returned to her mind. She loved muffins. There wasn't anything in the world that she cared for more than the tasty confections, except for her daughter. Snapping out of the daze, the Pegasus got up and walked over to her own room to get some sleep of her own. Derby dragged herself up at her normal time, carefully setting her hooves down on the ground and dragging them out of her own bedroom, passing the sleeping filly's room on the way. She always woke up this early in order to get ready and reach the post office before the sunrise. The Pegasus sluggishly walked out into the kitchen and towards the fridge. She groggily opened the icebox and took out her breakfast of choice, a single chocolate chip muffin. Slowly, the Pegasus sat herself down at the table and began to eat. She cringed at how dry her mouth had become during the night, almost choking on the scrumptious baked good. The pony set herself on her hooves and started the mile-long trek over to her cupboard. She barely managed to open it, almost ripping it off its hinges due to the fact that she was leaning so heavily on it. The Pegasus dragged out a glass, nearly dropping it in the process. She shuffled along the table and deposited the newly fetched glass onto it. Once again, Derby walked over to the fridge and this time opened it and pulling out a jug of milk with her mouth, not noticing how unusually light it was. She shambled on over to the eating surface where she proceeded to fill her glass with air.
Really? She thought. Why today?
Out of milk already? Came a voice from behind her. Derby drowsily glanced over her shoulder to find an orange-maned yellow earth pony standing in the doorway.
Good morning, Carrot Top,
said the Pegasus, almost dropping the empty cup due to her loss of complete concentration. You need to stop eating so many muffins. Do you know how much milk you go through every day? Carrot Top walked into the room, leaving her former post at the doorframe. She sat herself down next to Derby to enjoy the company of her roommate. The Pegasus tried to gasp playfully at the request, wanting to appear offended by the demands of the other pony in the room. The only thing she managed to do was inhale the dust bunnies recently freed from the clutches of gravity, resulting in a coughing fit and a one-way trip straight to the floor. She continued to cough as Carrot Top got up and fetched the glass of water at lightning speed compared to how slow the Pegasus was moving that particular morning. She handed it to the grounded pony, rolling her eyes as Derby drank it fast as possible.
Stop eating muffins? Never!
The gray mare said, still on the ground from her previous fit. She set herself on her hose for the third time this morning, pushing up and reaching the standing position. She took back her seat next to her companion, blushing slightly from the embarrassment of her previous accident. The earth pony sighed. Fine then. Just stop drinking 3 glasses of milk every time you eat breakfast. Some of us actually drink the milk instead of just using them to soften up stale muffins. At this comment, the recently roused pony was actually offended. She glared at her roommate, who wore a sly smile on her face.
Whose muffins are you calling stale?
Are mine stale? She thought, giving the muffin in front of her a quick squeeze to judge its crustiness. Mine, obviously, Carrot Top sarcastically replied. She mysteriously procured a comb to run through her famous curly mane, which she had been named after.
Good. I thought you were really talking about mine.
The relieved Pegasus genuinely conceived that the earth pony had been sincere in her explanation.
If you really wanted some muffins, you could just go over to Sugar Cube Corner and buy some.